Springfield Board of Mayor and Aldermen regular meeting for July is called to order. Please stand and we'll have the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We are so excited to have this big crowd tonight and all of the young people in the room. We want to congratulate the 9 and 10-year-olds, the Dixie Youth All-Stars that won today. And the 7 and 8-year-olds, Dixie Youth, that'll be going to Alabama very shortly. And I will ask both of the coaches to come forward, Mr. Jared Cummins and Mr. David Benham. Can y'all come to the mic, please?
Go to the mic, David.
The mic. So everyone can hear you, please. Because this is so exciting for the city of Springfield, because I don't believe we've ever had this many teams going, correct? Is that right?
We got one more.
There's a possibility that we'll have 3.
They're playing for the championship tomorrow at 10.
And that's so awesome. David.
Hey, we want to thank everybody for being here tonight. Thank our parents, our players, our coaches, our parks, our mayor, our city managers. We want to thank everybody. These young kids have put in a lot of hard work day in and day out. You know, some of us have been practicing since February the 2nd. These guys are a good group of young men. And I want to introduce the 7 and 8-year-old state champions.
Come forward when he calls your name, please.
Jackson Crombie. John Hood. Jaden Mays. Eli Sherrod. Lincoln Roberts. Quantavius Lunsford. Jaden Frazier. Landon Collada's not here. He's on vacation. Enriquez Turner. Elijah Duncog. Colton Benham. I want to introduce the other coaches. Gary Sherrod. Johnny Mays. Aaron Lincoln.
Good job.
Guys, we are so blessed to be able to win the state and represent Springfield and the state of Tennessee. We head out next Wednesday at 1 o'clock. I don't have a designated area that we're leaving from just yet, but we're headed down to Dothan, Alabama to play in the World Series, and our first game is against Alabama. So make sure everybody wears orange.
Okay, we're going to take a picture and then we're going to let you bring your team up.
Hood. Take it, Maze. Come here. Frazier, come here. Maze. Maze, come here. Maze, you're in the middle.
Put your big head in there.
Kenny. Let's keep you out there.
No, that's good.
He's doing pretty good. Yeah, I talked to him a few minutes ago. He don't go down much. Yeah, I know they want to walk. Yeah, she been long. She don't get out a whole lot of it. Listen slow.
Well, I didn't have quite as much time to prepare for this one. We literally won it this afternoon, and we came straight up here. I'm still wet from the water that the kids dumped on me during the celebration. We had a great time. It was in Savannah, Tennessee, and we did a great job. We battled through 3 close games at the end, 2 walk-off games. And the last, 1-by-1 to take the championship. I will say this about the team. Out of the whole tournament, 24 teams that were present, there were 5 total home runs hit over the fence. And this team hit 3 of them. I could probably sit here all day and you know, talk about it, but I'm so thankful for everybody that's here, thankful for the support of family, friends, and most importantly, our city, because they've done so much for us to allow us this opportunity. We will be playing in the a World Series, and ours will be held in Anderson, South Carolina, and that'll be taking place in 8 days. So we have to be prepared to get there. I'll go ahead and call the team up now. White Budzinski, Judson Vanderhanks, Judson Vanderhanks, Jace Lance, Bentley Farmer, Kendon Hollinsworth, Samuel Domcog, Colby Cummings, Colton Cummings, and Coach Michael Belcher.
Don't leave. We got big news. I'm gonna turn it over to our city manager, Mr. Ryan Martin.
So thank you, Mayor, and congratulations, y'all. That's like she said, this is the first time we've ever had 2 teams go to the World Series, and we're really proud of everything that you've done. Just to show our support, for those of you on the 7-8 team, you might already know this, but the city is going to take care of every family or all kids' hotel rooms at the World Series, as well as the uniforms. So. Congratulations, and I know that y'all want to go home and y'all need to practice. So,
We are Springfield proud. Woo-hoo.
Well, they already know.
Okay, we will move on to the rest of our meeting. 1.3. 1.3, the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen held on June 21st, 2022. Motion made by Alderman Green, a second by Alderman Arnold. Are there any corrections? No corrections, we're ready for a vote. Anyone like to change their vote? Please record the votes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. We'll give them just a second to move out of the room. We'll close the doors
I
and,
think there's.
okay. For our public hearing.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay?
Cleaned it out, didn't
If somebody will close the doors, we will have our public hearing.
come in over side, but
Thank you, Andy.
ain't be a-
1.4, our public hearing. Public hearing number 1, ordinance 22-13, a ordinance amending Title 18, Chapter 3 of the Springfield Municipal Codes entitled Sewage Disposal. If you would like to speak, please come to the mic. State your name and you have 2 minutes. Anyone like to speak? No one would like to speak. The public hearing is closed. Public hearing number 2, ordinance 22-14, a ordinance amending Chapter 8 of the Springfield zoning ordinance pertaining to the off-street parking requirements for residential activities. If you would like to speak, please come to the mic, state your name, and you have 2 minutes.
Hello, I'm Jim Moore, and I want to thank the board for listening to comments. And just wanted to talk a little bit about the parking ordinance changes. And property that I have on Ruth Street was discussed at the last meeting, and sent you all emails and kind of been taking some shots of moments in time of the parking at that property specifically. And as you can see, I don't think it's too much of an issue. There's 6 to 10 parking spots at any time. I believe we have 20 spots for, 12 units, which is a little more than 1.5, but it's not 2. So then if, I believe we'd have, what would that be? 24, so we'd have an additional 4 spots in addition to the 6 to 8 we have free all the time. So I would just like to see it go to 2 for a 2-bedroom rather than 2.5, and let's kind of work incrementally. If there's a problem, then we can address it later at that time, but kind of see how that works. And I'll be here if anyone has any questions during the discussion.
Thank you. Next person that would like to speak, please come to the mic. No one else would like to speak? If there's no one that's going to come to the mic, the public hearing is closed. We're ready for our legislative agenda. 2.1, discuss and possibly take action on ordinance 22-13 on a second and final reading. Ordinance amending Title 18, Chapter 3 of the Springfield Municipal Code entitled Sewage Disposal. Motion made to discuss by Alderman Gregg and a second by Alderman Green. Questions? Discussion. Second and final reading is kind of hard to say because I've said it for so long. Third and final reading. No discussion? We're ready for a vote? Anyone like to change their vote? Please record the votes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. 2.2, discuss and possible take action on ordinance 22-14 on a second and final reading. Ordinance amending Chapter 8 of the Springfield zoning ordinance pertaining to off-street parking requirements for residential activity. Motion made to discuss by Vice Mayor Harris and a second by Alderman Gregg. Discussion. I know you have questions on this one.
Mayor, ask Mr. Brewer to the mic, please.
Yes, Mr. Brewer. Before Mr. Brewer gets here, Ms. Green had a question. She was first.
That's fine.
Oh, no, go ahead.
You're welcome to ask while
I'm
he's.
sorry, I didn't see.
It's okay.
No, I'd be happy to hear what Mr. Brewer says, and that may answer some questions as well.
Okay. Mr. Harris.
We
Questions?
are currently at 1.5 and 2.5. 1.5 for a 2-bedroom, up to
Yes.
2-bedroom,
1.5 for a 2-bedroom,
and 2.5 for a 3-bedroom, or 2.
2.
So we are at 1.5 and 2. Okay. So what was the preface of the planning commission?
Well, we discussed this for 3 different months. It wasn't, it was, it was brought to their attention that we had issues with on-street parking. And so the planning commission's recommendation is what's in the exhibit, 2.5 and 3. They just want to ensure that there's adequate off-street parking. Talking with Mr. Gregg earlier and having spoken with Mr. Moore, 2 is more than what we have now, which is 1.5. Incrementally, we've been doing several things incrementally here lately. We can, go to 2, and if it's not enough, we can always come back and add another half spot if it's determined that is needed. But, the intent for the planning commission is to increase the parking on multi-residential. So 2 would be more than 1.5 right now.
Okay. And then, I think I asked the question last month concerning the property on Ruth Street, just for example wise. Mr. Moore, I have a question for you, please, sir. If I heard you correctly a while ago, I believe you stated there were 20 spots. on
I
that.
believe
And-
20
and
or
we're just-
21.
We're picking on this property, for example. That's
Sure.
because it's there.
Yeah, I'm happy to discuss it.
So 20 spots for 12 units?
Yes.
And those
What
12
does that come
units,
up
are
to?
they different bedrooms? Are they all 2s, or
No, sir, all the floor plans are the same. It's 2-bedroom, all 2 bedrooms.
everything is 2 bedrooms?
Yeah, and the issue, if you're talking about the newer ones behind the gas station, so the issue there was, I guess, the layout of the lot was narrow one end and wider on the other. So it's not a lack of parking issue. I'm gonna call it a laziness issue, or somebody doesn't want to walk across a parking lot to their car. So if you drove by there and you saw somebody parking their truck on the curb, then there's still 5 or 6 spots. So I've had my property manager to address that with those individuals and get them into spaces.
For the newer property behind the gas station?
Correct,
There's more parking spaces there than the other piece, right?
I did not do a count on the other one.
'Cause it looks like you, on the older built one, all the
Yeah.
parking spaces are facing the doors. of
Facing the doors, and
units.
I never see an issue there. Now, there's somebody that has a utility bed truck that may be too large for one of the spaces, and they park on the curb. I don't get any complaints over there. Sometimes I get complaints at the other one, just because the one to the far left, if you're facing the units from Ruth Street, and all the guest parking is on the other end. But the older ones, the original set, and I get no complaints whatsoever from those.
Of course, we all realize that this will be for any new construction going forward.
Correct, and I probably do a better job policing mine than other out-of-town owners might do, and I understand that. Just seemed to me that whenever I brought it up, everybody started talking about the historic district and single-family homes, and single-family homes are also addressed in this amendment, but it affects, for me personally, more multifamily. So I just didn't want the multifamily to get caught up in with the historic district new home construction. And, we just don't have the need. And also, it's gonna add increased stormwater runoff. I mean, we all doing what we can to build an expensive holding ponds and trying to control that. So, more parking spots gonna lead to that. And I just honestly don't feel like there's an issue.
That's all the questions.
And hey, and I would say if there was, because I'm the one that has to deal with it, when the complaint comes in, somebody's parking in my spot, then I
Buck
would.
stops here, right?
Then I would make a change, but I just don't think there's a problem on that specifically.
Anyone else have a question for him while he's at the mic? Mr. Hubbard?
Yes.
Mayor, Mr. Brewer, so 2, you'll settle for 2?
I'm good with 2. I think that's a comfortable amount.
Okay.
Mr. Brewer and I ran through some different scenarios.
Well, two it would be.
Sometimes people may have friends over and they have more, but sometimes you have a single parent with only one car, and it just kind of naturally works itself out. And look, I mean, somebody has a big party and somebody has to park on the curb, but we have empty parking lots all over this town, and I just don't think we need to be adding more stormwater runoff and empty spaces to maintain. I did also want to add that Josh Lyon with Clover Engineering is here if anybody has any questions on the engineering side of it.
No,
So.
we're good. Okay, anybody else while Mr. Moore is at the mic? Mr. Moore, thank you for what you
Thank
do
you.
for our city.
Appreciate that, thank you.
And thank you for being very reasonable and talking to us and talking through. We can all work together.
Let's get it right. Thank
Yeah. Well, I can remember Alderman Jerome Ellis. He told us not to do something one night. We all voted against him, and we had to correct it. We can correct things, but let's get it right the first time.
I have a question.
Sir.
I don't know if it's to Mr. Martin or Mr. Brewer or what we had talked about. We are currently at 1.5 and 2, so that would not be changing anything on a 3-bedroom if we remained it to be at 2. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And I have an amendment to the motion.
Okay. Your amendment, please.
My amendment would be that we amend this to be 2 parking spaces for anything up to 3 bedrooms. And then 4 bedrooms and beyond would be a requirement of 3 parking spaces.
Okay. Give her just a second to get this typed in and we will.
We are currently at 1.5 and 2. 1.5 for up to 2 bedrooms, 2 parking spaces up to 3 bedrooms, is that correct? So my amendment to what is being asked, that we make that 2 parking spaces across the board up to 3 bedrooms. We're currently at 2 for 3 bedrooms already, right? And we're raising the 2 bedrooms by half with this amendment. And
Okay.
then if there happen to be 4 bedrooms or more, then it'd be 3 parking spaces.
Okay.
4 bedrooms or more,
If it happened to be, I don't know that
Sorry.
we would have any that would be 4 bedrooms or more, but
Vice Mayor Harris has made the motion and a second by Alderman Hubbard. Questions and discussion? Everybody understand the amendment?
Took me a minute, but I
Yeah. It
I
was
probably
good.
could have said it differently, that made more sense.
It's all good. We understand now. Any discussion? No discussion, we're ready to vote on the amendment. Anyone like to change their vote? Please record the votes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Okay, we're back on the main motion as amended. Any discussion? No discussion, we're ready for a vote. Anyone like to change their vote? Please record the votes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. 2.3, discuss and possible take action on Resolution 22-22, a resolution of the City of Springfield to authorize entering into a long-term hedging transaction with the Tennessee Energy Acquisition Corporation in order to fix the commodity price for the portion of the Springfield gas system's natural gas requirements. Do we have a motion? Motion made by Alderman Hubbard to discuss and a second by Alderman Green. I'm going to call on our city manager, Mr. Ryan Martin.
Thank you, Mayor. We raised this issue, as you know, the natural gas prices have kind of gotten out of control, and we talked about our ability and our authority to purchase gas on long-term transactions and how that was capped. And that's kind of the background of this. This was capped originally at $3.50 per MMBTU in the resolution that you all passed in 2017. As we know, gas is a lot higher than that now, so Mr. Riddle has no authority and ability to enter into those contracts right now without you all. So the proposal before you tonight is to first of all, adopt a resolution giving Mr. Riddle that authority, but also to set the threshold at $8 per MMBTU, which would not prevent him from going over those, to prevent us from having to come back and do this if things got out of control. But that $8 threshold would trigger a reporting requirement for us to report to you that we had to enter into a transaction higher than that $8 threshold. So it would allow us to be as nimble as we need to be given our economic uncertainty. But Mr. Riddle has some information to share with you tonight, so Mayor, I would ask that you invite him to come to the podium.
Mr. Riddle, he has a mic.
Oh, he has a mic.
Is this on?
Are
you
we
hear
on?
me?
Thanks. You good? Yeah.
Yeah, he says you're on.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. As Ryan said, 2017, this was kind of a new deal for us. I was always able to enter into yearly contracts for 6 months, things like that, for years. But this deal coming available in 2017, what it done, it gave us some flexibility on our November through March, our heating season, to kind of protect not only all of our customers, but mainly our residential customers during the heating season. And it's been a good program. I mean, we've had significant savings from it. I've got one now that's, I had one that fell off this past, March, that was at $8.15. And that was a good price. I've still got one going for another 4 more years at $2.67. But these were locked in at a different time. I handed out the settlement history just to give you all an idea of what is, and I mean, I could have went on back all the way to 2000, but this condensed it. But you can kind of see what it's trading at, you know, next month we're looking at 655. So, we're hoping that's gonna go down. But the thing is, when I call and get these prices, and I'm messing with our broker, I gotta pull the trigger right then. I can't come back to y'all a month later because the price might change by $3. So what this does is allows us a little leeway. However, back in 2017, the $3.50 cap, that was high. But
I remember those days.
Not any longer. So, I think it's a good deal, you know, like I said, this last, November through March, it was a tremendous savings for us. And what it does is, you know, I can only lock in up to 60% of our gas because roughly 40% is locked in some long-term prepaid deals. So, this is just a mechanism to kind of help us keep these prices somewhat steady and lower.
Any questions for Mr. Riddle? Yes, sir.
Recommend we approve this?
Absolutely.
Questions?
I support it, 100%.
Thank you. No questions? We're ready for a vote. Anyone like to change their vote? Please record the votes.
Motion passes 7-0.
2.4, discuss and possible take action on Resolution 22-23, a resolution declaring certain properties surplus and authorizing the disposal of such properties. Motion made by Alderman Hubbard, a second by Alderman Green. Any questions? No questions on the disposal. We're ready for a vote. Would anyone like to change their vote? Please record the votes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. 2.5, discuss and possible take action on Resolution 22-24, a resolution accepting the maintenance bond from Reyes Construction, Inc. to guarantee maintenance sureties for the streets, the right-of-ways, the easements, and the infrastructure improvements for the village greens at Springfield subdivision, Section 5. Motion made by Alderman Hubbard and a second by Alderman Green to discuss. Any questions on this resolution, on this maintenance bond?
Mr. Brewer,
Sir, you have a question?
I'm just gonna ask Mr. Brewer.
Mr. Brewer needs to
Have
come to
your
the mic.
approval?
Hold on until he gets to the mic, so we have a recording.
Yes, sir, we're simply accepting the right-of-way, the roads, the infrastructure, and they're presenting a maintenance bond to ensure that it's good for the next year, for that section. So
So you're pleased with the work?
we're happy, it meets the minimum requirements of the city of Springfield.
Okay, sir. Take his word.
Any other questions? No other questions, discussion? We're ready for a vote. Anyone like to change their vote? Please record the votes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. 2.6, discuss and possible take action on Resolution 22-25, a resolution to approve the economic impact plan for the Watson Road Development Area as requested by the Industrial Development Board of the City of Springfield. Motion made by Alderman Gregg to discuss, a second by Alderman Green. I'm going to turn this over to our city manager, Mr. Ryan Martin.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an exciting time. This economic impact plan that is before you is part of and parcel of the agreement with New Urban Development Corporation, which is the company that's going to build, develop, and lease to Chick-fil-A their store to be located at the corner of Watson Road and Tom Austin Highway. We have, most of you know, we've been in negotiations with Chick-fil-A for about a year and a half, and there was some. It really just boiled down to finding the right place and the right location, and we were able to help them do that. And then it became a product of a good location and a bad site, and the site needs some help. There's some stormwater work, drainage work, and grading that needs to take place on that site, and they've asked for some help to do that, as Chick-fil-A customarily does in markets. So we found out, I didn't know Chick-fil-A asked for incentives before they went to a market, but they have done that here. And so a TIF arrangement, which is a tax increment financing arrangement, is what we have come up with. That has been approved. This economic impact plan has been approved by the Robertson County Commission last night. It's also been approved by our Springfield Industrial Development Board. You all know at our strategic planning, we have placed an emphasis on incentives to do just this. And a TIF is one of those things we've talked about. I think Greenbrier's done a couple of them now, and so this is our first opportunity to really get this ball rolling. Kind of the way this is structured from here on out is we will have this economic impact plan kind of lays the foundation, if you will, to do the TIF arrangement. It's a tax increment financing, which is essentially a loan that is paid back by the increment on the property taxes. You take the base amount of the property taxes, let's just say for round numbers sake, $100 of property taxes paid on the property. Once they build a Chick-fil-A, it goes up to $500 for property tax. That increment, the $400, oversimplifying here, but $400 is used to pay off that note, the proceeds of that note for the infrastructure advancement. We also will be asking you all to approve at a later date a site grant for them. The TIF arrangement only covers part of the incentive package, and the site grant will be $230,000. The TIF arrangement is $230,000, so it would be a grand total of $460,000 to assist with Chick-fil-A. Now, where's that money coming from? We intend for it to come from our Industrial Development Fund. You all know that we've sold quite a bit of property in the North Industrial Park over the last year. And so what we'd like to do is use that fund. We're digging into the resolutions from '94 when that fund was set up, because that fund is available for industrial development. We're just trying to get to the definition of what industrial means, or if we need to come back and maybe have you all modify that to be economic development where it can satisfy this purpose. We're working on that, and we'll know more later as we move forward. But this is the first step in that process. The Springfield Industrial Development Board Chairman, Mr. Bashir, is here tonight. Also, Mr. Trent, Tom Trent, is the attorney that has been engaged to represent the Industrial Development Board for this process. He is with the law firm Bradley in Nashville, and he's also the one that orchestrated and was the counsel on the two TIFs that have previously been done in Robertson County. So he's a guru. He's available tonight. He's here for any questions that you may have. I know it's a little bit complicated. It's the first one that we've done. I'll be glad to answer any questions, and I know Mr. Trent would be as well, and Margot Fosness is here as well.
I will start by saying, Mr. Bashir, thank you for serving on that board for a long time. You do an excellent job, so thank you for being here tonight. This is a great deal. It's exciting times. Yes, sir.
We wanted that, started talking about that in 1994, about getting big name restaurants, firms that can bring about good paying jobs and bring in progress to our city. And so it leaked out, and I got about 3,000 constituents, and the phones just blew off and did not vote against it. So
Well, and I'll say last night at the county commission, it was passed unanimously, so we have a whole county excited
excited about it.
for it coming.
Hope that we see more of this to come.
Yes,
That's why I think the TIF will attract more restaurants and other businesses.
It's a very specific tool that's used, can only be used for infrastructure, and so with the, with the amount of stormwater and other infrastructure upgrades that they're doing to the site, we're able to kind of pull this lever. The site grant is something that's kind of an added, just an added incentive to kind of close up that deal, because the TIF wouldn't have made up the entire deficit that they needed. Frankly, they came in, and it's gonna cost them $800,000. And they initially wanted to help with the $800,000, and we settled on an agreement with them at $460 pending your approval, and that also includes the payment of well, it doesn't. It's just a site grant, but I believe they will use part of that site grant to pay for their impact fees as well, their system development fees. I need to add as well, they're building a 5,000 square foot facility. The estimated annual local option sales tax revenue is $170,000 roughly,
Local.
and local option sales tax. So. That's a big deal locally, so to do a $230,000 TIF arrangement that's going to be paid back by the increment anyway is a big deal. The increment does show in today's dollars that you saw in your economic impact plan that there might be a little shortfall at the end. We are accepting liability for that. Normally the developer would do that, but the city is the Chick-fil-A and New Urban. It has to be non-recourse for them to agree. So. If the increment doesn't end up paying off that, there's a small difference. We will take care of that at the end. That's what we're agreeing to.
okay. Any other discussion? It's exciting times to live in Springfield. Any other discussion? We're ready for a vote. Anyone like to change their vote? Please record the votes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. 3.1, discuss and possible take action on the adjustment of the retail electric rates for the Springfield Electric Department due to the wholesale fuel cost adjustment by the Tennessee Valley Authority. Motion made by Alderman Hubbard, a second by Vice Mayor Harris to discuss. Mr. Sachs.
Thank you. Once again, our fuel cost adjustment for the month is going up 7.2%, a little less than it was last month, but still going in the wrong direction. We're hoping next month we'll see this turn around, but it's been a real interesting journey for both electric and gas this year. Maybe we'll get this straightened out.
We're all praying. Any questions for Mr. Sachs? Yes, sir.
So we'll be able to withstand this 100-degree plus weather?
All good.
All good, all right.
Okay. No other questions? We're ready for a vote. Would anyone like to change their vote? Please record the votes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. 3.2, discuss and possible take action on the adjustment of the monthly gas rates for the Springfield Gas Department. Motion made by Alderman Trotter, second by Alderman Hubbard. Mr. Riddle.
It's not
Same
good
direction?
news. It's not good news. Purchase gas adjustments up to almost 21%.
We're not surprised if you watch the news.
I've already got next month's prices.
Don't tell me.
It should be going down.
Oh, good. Okay, you can tell that. Any questions for Mr. Riddle? We're ready for a vote. I might not to vote.
We're gonna take
Anyone
them
like
one-
to change their
We're gonna
vote?
take them as one now.
Please record the votes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. 3.3, discuss and possible take action to approve the interlocal agreement between E91 Emergency Communication District of Robertson County and the other municipalities in the county for dispatch service. Motion made by Alderman Hubbard, a second by Alderman Green. Any questions on this? On our agreement? And I assume Chief Jason Head is still working on this committee.
Remember the 911 board?
He's, do we have other members?
No, ma'am,
Just Chief Pettit.
Chief
Thank
Pettit.
you for serving on that. I've been told by several people you're doing a great job at that, so you understand all that. Any questions? No questions? We're ready for vote. Anyone like to change their vote? Please record the votes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. We're ready for our consent doc. We only have one item, 4.1. Our electric department requests to award a bid of 69 kV substation breaker for the Wartrace substation in the amount of $49,425 for GE, budgeted at $150,000. Motion made by Alderman Green and a second by Alderman Hubbard. Any questions? No questions? We're ready for a vote. Anyone like to change their vote? Please record the votes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to turn it over to our city manager, Mr. Ryan Martin.
Thank you, Mayor. Want to let you know, kind of give you a heads up, I think Mr. Martin mentioned it earlier, and there's a potential that we could have 3 teams going to the World Series from Dixie Youth Baseball. It's great, and we're really excited about that, and we provide customarily the support that I mentioned earlier with hotel and uniforms that we pay for, because they have to, once they have their all-star uniform that they go and represent us at district and state tournament, then when they go into the World Series, they represent the state. They're representing Tennessee, and so we are going to pay for those uniforms as well. However, we do not budget for 3 teams to make the World Series because that just doesn't happen. Frankly, we don't budget for 2. So
What a good problem.
it's a great problem to have. It's a minute amount of money. We're talking, a few $1,000s, and so we are going to go ahead and move forward with that. And then, but at the end of the year, I want to put the caveat there. At the end of the year, we may need to come back for a budget amendment if things. But that will be the reason why in the Parks Department if we need to do that, because, like you said, great problem to have. We're sending more teams to the World Series than we expected to, and that's wonderful. So, want to give you saw, but tonight David Benham, we're really proud of the 7-8 team. That's David Benham. That's our codes inspector. He's an employee of the city, and he's the head coach of that team, and he's put a lot of time and effort. So we're proud to not only have those teams, but one of our own family members here that's coaching one of those teams. And I know Mr. Gregg has not one, but 2 grandsons on the 9 and 10 team, and my nephew is on there as well. So we're excited about everything they're doing. Another bit of good news, and I hate that it continues to come from the Parks Department, but our parks will receive the statewide award for the best park system in the state of Tennessee next month. Should have had you leave before I know. The Tennessee Municipal League gives annually a variety of awards across the state, and this year we are receiving the Excellence in Parks and Recreation Award, which is phenomenal. We were nominated. We're not really entirely sure how we were nominated, but we were nominated for that award and the recognition that we have an exceptional park system, which we all knew, but now the rest of the state is going to figure that out.
There's no director bonus with that or anything?
There is not, and there is not, no.
After all those kids are on the World Series.
That's right.
Those kids got your money.
Also, I want to invite you all, mark it down, next Friday, July 29th, from 3 until 5 p.m. on Brown Street at the new Springfield Robertson County Employee Health Center is going to be the open house. It's from 3 until 5. There will be refreshments served. Board members and department heads are invited to come and walk through and check out the clinic, meet the folks that are kind of going to be there running it. Again, you all and your spouses are eligible, that you fall under the eligibility for that clinic. It is free. No one's going to ask you for an insurance card. It's a benefit that you all approved to allow for our employees and their dependents to use, regardless of whether or not they're on our health insurance. There is an exception carved out for retirees as well, and so we'll be able to get the retirees that are on our health insurance available for that as well. But it's for all employees and their dependents, regardless of whether or not health insurance, and for you all as well. So we're excited that clinic's finally opening. That clinic is going to save us a lot of money and will provide us a huge convenience tool to our employees at no cost to them. And so the open house is next Friday. The clinic will open on Monday, August 1st. So it will be available for use, and we'll send out the information to all those eligible so you can get registered, because you do have to be registered and on their list. That way when you show up, they know they can treat you. So moving on real quickly, Freedom Fest was a big success. Thank you. I saw a lot of you there. We had over 8,000 people there, probably closer to 10, but we're going to safely say 8. The Oak Ridge Boys put on a great show. We had a great fireworks show, and that was a big deal for our community, and a big 4th of July celebration. Finally, we had State of the City last week, and the State of the City event was even more successful this year than it was last year. We sold over 130 tickets and even had walk-ins the day of the event, and that was at the center last week. And the purpose and mission behind that event is to equip folks, business and community folks, with correct and proper information about what you all are doing, what we're doing as a city, and where we're going, and that way they know and they can get excited about it too, and also know about the challenges. That way when they get their sewer bill, they know why the sewer bill's high, right? Instead of just not knowing, now we can equip them with that information. So thank you all for your support and for recognizing those kids tonight. That's a big deal for the city of Springfield.
And I don't think we've talked about Chief Jason Head being appointed treasurer of the Tennessee Associations of the Chiefs of Police.
And in addition to that, he's also been asked to serve on a, this will get off of Terry Martin. He's also been asked to serve on the statewide task force to examine law enforcement retirement benefits. And so he'll be representing statewide chiefs of police on that task force. And so we're honored to
Thank you for
have, again, Springfield represented well.
And I will be going to TML, and it will be held in Gatlinburg next month. Mr. Martin, I hope to see you over there. Yes, sir.
Yes, I would like to officially announce that I'm on the November ballot to run again.
Meeting's adjourned.